So here we are to close to the final steps of the process. I'm decaling. You can see I've already started side one on this car and this one as well. Yesterday I decaled one side of each, and today I'll show you how to decal. Right now what I'm doing is there's a few air bubbles right along this rivet line, and so I put some Walther Solvaset on it and just piercing the bubbles with my X-Acto knife. Okay, decals. These are a set that was done by Bob Ellis. Concord Junction was his business name. I don't think that these are available from him right now. These decals, you can get decals for these milk cars from Highball Graphics, and I'm running out of this style right now, and I may have to order a set from Highball to finish the third car. Well, maybe there's a set, I don't know. I'll have to search my decal supply carefully. The issue tends to be with these is the not the BM Herald, I've got plenty of them, but the little BM and numbers down there. I don't know if I have enough of them. So all I'm doing is cutting the decals as close to the lettering as possible. And I found with this set that it's best to just go around the circle like this, cutting each different direction. And it's easiest, of course, to cut decals with a nice sharp X-Acto blade. And this blade was nice and sharp a few months ago. It isn't today. That looks like I didn't slice right there. So there's the BM logo into the water. Just tap water. I usually, that's warm tap water. I find that warm tap water melts the adhesive that's between the decal film and the decal paper. It melts it a little bit faster than cold water. So it's not critical, but it helps move things along. And there's milk. One very nice thing about this car is that the lettering is simple. Yeah, these are my, I don't know if you can see them, they might be off camera. Yeah, they're off camera. I have lots and lots and lots of decals. That may be enough to do the third car right there. I used to produce my own decals, and sometimes friends would send me decal sets to try out, or just as they had spares that they didn't need. And so I have a lot, especially Bob Ellis is a classmate of mine in college, so he sent me a lot of factory seconds, if you will. And this set was produced probably in the mid to late 80s. These are really old, long past their prime. But surprisingly, this particular set is fine. They don't crack. for some reason. That's usually the problem with old decals, is that the clear finish cracks. And the when you put them in the water, they disintegrate, basically, little tiny pieces. But I love to listen to music while I'm doing this. All right. Can you see that they're floating around in the water here? And there's the paper from the BM. And I just peel them right off. I know this, you know, instructions say not to do this in most decal sets, but as I think I said before, I have done many thousands of models, and this is how I do it. So I have my model in the background there, so that I can copy that. I have this one here. I also have, you can't see it up against the wall, I have that scale drawing to help guide me on the letter placement. And now here goes the settings process. Boy, I used to use a decal setting solution made by AccuPaints. Sadly not available anymore. I have a ceremonial bottle in the background, but I don't think there's any left in it. AccuPaints, AccuSet it was called, worked excellently. Absolutely excellent product for doing decal setting. I talked to George Bishop, the man who used to make AccuPaints and AccuCals, about it one time, and he told me that the difference between the material, the chemical that he used, and other manufacturers, like the Solvaset I'm putting on right now, is that his chemical the most volatile liquid in his AccuSet was the actual chemical that caused the decal to set. And so what would happen was that when you put the decal setting solution on, it had water in it. Over time, the water would evaporate and make the setting solution on the car more and more concentrated, which caused it to force into the details on the model. So, great advantage. It pulls the decals down in over time. It also gave the modeler a few seconds to manipulate the decal, or the decal onto the model. Like right now, this is starting to get flimsy. Because the Solvaset is at its greatest concentration right now. I'll explain that in just a second. I'm trying to get this centered and vertical at the same time. Alright, now I'm just going to soak up the excess. I like to, I hope you can see, maybe not. With the Solvaset, and I'm also using Microscale and Microscale, if you noticed. I really haven't got a good process yet. I've been without AccuSet for years, and I really haven't found a good process for using other manufacturers. Anyways, with Solvaset, I'll turn the bottle around. That show. With Solvaset, the most volatile liquid in the product is the actual chemical, which causes the decal to settle in place. So what happens is, the setting chemical, whatever it is, George never told me. The setting chemical is at its greatest concentration right now, right as I put the decal down. And over time, what happens is the setting chemical evaporates first, leaving your model with a puddle of water underneath it, or decal with a puddle of water underneath it. This causes the decal to bubble, and it doesn't pull the decal down as nice and tight as the AccuSet would, or as any other chemical would, if it wasn't water wasn't the most volatile liquid in the solution. So I'm not a chemist. That's just what George told me many years ago, as I was asking him about it. The AccuSet, hands down, the best stuff, if you can find it. Again, experience. I have literally painted thousands and thousands of model railroad cars, engines, from Z scale to G scale. Thousands. The number is somewhere in excess of 4,500. I have not counted in the last several years because I'm not doing it commercially anymore. I just do it for as I feel like it. And so the last count I had was over 4,500. I think that's experience speaking. And also, speaking from experience, I've been doing this since 1981, 82. Not really sure. Okay, take a deep breath. Since I've been doing a fair amount of modeling this week, I'm on vacation from school where I work. Since I've been doing a lot of it this week, I'm finding that my shoulders are very tense, and yeah, having to do a lot of exercises to loosen up my back in the morning and at night. Come on, 3. This is really using these Solvaset type setting solutions. There we go. Where the concentrate of setting chemical is the greatest at the beginning, it's really touchy doing this fine manipulation of little numbers like those 2 3s there. I hope you can see. My hand's probably in the way. Does that show now? I'll try and hold it as steady as possible here. Is that 1933? Is that level? It looks looks like it's coming uphill where the numbers are. Yeah. Doug. What I'm going to do is I'm going to push the BM up just a smidge. Does that look better? No comment. Okay. Oh, I see my battery lights flashing. Guess what? Guess that's going to be it for now. I think what I'll do is I'll come back later. What's going to happen at this point? I'm going to leave the cars to sit. It'll probably take half an hour for the decals to dry, and I'll come back and pop any air bubbles. So I'm going to letter the second side of the 1910 there while the battery's charging.